Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday. Your daily QCI for today is, what is your why? So, most people are going to direct you to Simon Sinek right now. He has a book with that name, basically. And that can be great for some people. It's a good read. I think it has good advice. He's got some great talks online. So search those out, find those, see if that inspires you. But we're going to go in a different direction today. And instead, we're going to explore finding your why through your talents. First of all, knowing your why is important. It provides clarity, focus, direction, and it becomes the foundation for your decisions, the fuel for your goals, and the thread that ties together your core values and vision. Just think about it. Your core values define what you stand for, and your vision paints the picture in detail of where you want to go. So your why is the bridge between those two. It's that heartbeat that keeps your actions aligned with your bigger purpose. So your core values are how you show up in the world, whether you know it or not, whether you define them or not. Looking at your actions in the world, you can work backwards to what core values are represented and vice versa. It's the things that you do. Your vision answers where you're going. Assuming this is intentional, it's where you want to end up, your preferred future. But your why answers why you're doing these things in the first place. Why aren't you just a plastic bag going with the wind? The answer, you want to do more of the things that you're good at. Scott Galloway has a great TED Talk where he touches on this. Here's a little excerpt from that.
What I would say is find something in your work that gives you joy and disproportionately allocate amount of time you can based on your credibility in the organization to that part of your job that just gives you joy. I think that's about as good as you can do, and then find something you're good at such that you can develop the economic currency to live a nice life.
When all these elements are in sync, everything feels more intentional and powerful. You'll find it easier to prioritize what matters most and to stay resilient when challenges arise. Before we explain more, let's talk about an activity. So, a few different things you can do here. First, reflect on your joy. Think about the moments when you felt truly alive or fulfilled. What were you doing? Who were you with? Why did it matter? Number 2, ask 5 whys. Take something you're passionate about or proud of and ask yourself, why does that matter? Then ask again, why does that thing matter? Keep going till you've answered it 5 times. By the time you get to your 5th, most likely you've uncovered a deeper purpose. Number 3, look for patterns. Look for themes or patterns in the answers that you came up with. This is actually a version of system thinking. We'll touch more on that in another episode. But are there recurring values or people, motivations, desires that point you towards your why? Now we're going to go a step further. A lot of the flow research talks about this, and finding flow, if you've ever experienced that, is typically happening because you're doing something that fulfills your why. It's feeding a talent and or a passion / purpose. So we're going to walk through the flow process and hopefully inspire you a bit to dive more into those things that might create flow, that might help you find your why. So the flow process, real quickly, starts with curiosity, moves to exploration, and then we have a challenge skill balance metric to look at, focused practice or deliberate practice, feedback loops, achievement, and then mastery. So let's dive into each of those just a little bit. So first, curiosity. That's initial interest or spark of fascination, the challenge or interesting thing about an item or a field of study or an occupation. What is it about that that's sparking the curiosity, making you want to go further and go deeper? Leading to the exploration phase. So you're engaging more in the topic. You're experimenting with different aspects of it. You're gathering information. You're discovering something rewarding about it. Next, we look at the challenge skill balance. So this is where we're trying to find something that interests us enough and challenges us enough to keep us interested and engaged, and isn't too overwhelming and isn't too boring. And we tend to move up the ladder of skill development as we keep challenging ourselves. And that's easier to do with something that we find that we're kind of good at in the first place. Deliberate practice. There's a lot of research on this. A couple different books have been published. They're really good, highly recommended. And this is where we are refining our skills. We're building confidence and competence. We're problem solving. We're continuing to move up that chain of mastery, getting better and better. Throughout the process, we have feedback loops. So these can come from a mentor, a person that is already a master in this area. It could be from the mistakes that we make. Those mistakes act as feedback loops, mechanisms for us to learn something, change something, and then keep moving. Next up, we're almost there, is achievement. So as you are getting better at something, you're finding that you're able to dive deeper, you're able to know more, you're able to perform better. Those little achievements act as a piece of recognition. They're feeding that dopamine hit. And then you're looking for more, which is releasing even more dopamine, which is just feeding that animal of your why, your talent. Finally, we are what some people would call a master at something. So this is where performance is no longer effortful. We are so good at something that we've unlocked a higher level of performance. New opportunities might emerge. We might see different patterns that others don't in the soccer field or in the chemistry lab or wherever this talent lies. Mastery is our goal. The next place we're going to look for inspiration is from Daniel Coyle's book, The Talent Code. So in this book, he explores the science behind skill development and extraordinary talent. So talent isn't necessarily something that you're born with, although there are some aspects of it that are there genetically, but it can also be built through deliberate practice, which was one piece of that puzzle of the flow process we talked about. So through deep practice, igniting that fire, and then mastering we are nurturing that talent muscle. So the big takeaway from the talent code is that just because you're not born amazing at something doesn't mean you can't become a master at it. So if you find you're a little bit good at something, or if you find there's something you want to be good at, put in the time, see where it goes. Okay, so in this episode, we talked about a number of different factors involved in finding your why, some activities on how to do it, some things to consider along the way. So by now, if you've done those, hopefully you know your why. If you do, write it down, share it, put it somewhere that you'll see it every day so that you can continue to live a life that is feeding your why. You're living up to your fullest potential. So thanks for joining. Till next time, question everything, create boldly, and inspire others. See you tomorrow.